to our viewers. My name is Melanie Jeffers Cameron, the founder of Not Easily Broken Apart Women's Ministry. And I am here with another queen who wants to share her testimony with you guys on how she's overcame, how she's healed, and who has helped her through this journey. And we all know all praises to her creator, all praises to our Father for bringing us through some of the most testing and the most trying times. And I just get so excited when I have these beautiful faces and I can just see God's grace exuding, because I know that He's done it for me. He's done it for this young lady, and He can do the same for you. So tell the audience your name and where you are and your status.
My name is Gina Parish, but everybody knows me as Gina Diva. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I just recently purchased a home in New Jersey. I have three beautiful kids, 13, 7, and 3. I moved with my husband as well. So I'm a baker. I also am a YouTube creator myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur as well as a stay-at-home mom. And yeah.
Gina and I met about 2 years ago. Gina has just been one of the most transparent beings that I have ever met. She just has this personality that you have to love. If you don't like it, it's because you choose not to. Just such a very authentic to who she is.
Thank you. But thank you very much.
You're different, and that's a beautiful thing. I welcome you, and I'm glad that you chose to come on to NEBA Women's Ministry to give your testimony. So,
thank you for having me.
The topic, relationship over relations. We talk about how important it is for you to build relationships over just being related to someone. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was so powerful because a lot of times we have sisters, brothers, even parents, but they don't actually fit the relationship criteria the best way that they should. If we don't carry out these relationships in a healthy way, it affects us in other areas of our lives. It's kind of like a domino effect. Sometimes as parents, if we did not have the example shown to us, then it may trickle into our children and their children. So relationship over relation is what we're going to be touching on. And I just want to say a disclaimer for anyone that's going to watch this that may know Gina, this is her truth. And we should all respect each other when we are being transparent about our healing, because that's the only way how God gets the victory out of this. Let's take you far back to the age of 13. Your mom and dad separated. So you're coming from, as society would call it, a broken home.
A broken home.
You weren't the only child, though. There were other siblings in the home. Yes. So, and I say that because I came from a broken home as well, but I was the only child out of that marriage. I used to think that it affects the individual more because you don't have your siblings to kind of, go to, really going through it on your own. But now in speaking with you, I realize that not necessarily. We all are affected in different ways. When your parents separated, that's when things really started to go south for you. Tell us about how you became an adult really quickly at 13.
With whoever does watch it, I hope that you could understand that this is my truth and this is nothing against anyone. Just how I view it, how I went through it, how I lived it. I was 13, my parents separated. It was tough, but it was kind of a breath of fresh air at the same time, being that my parents, it was a very volatile situation. In New York, when you're 14 years old, you're able to get your working papers and you're able to work during the 2 months of summer. The time that my mom was getting ready for back to school shopping with my younger brother. And so I was working still at the time. I think I had like 2 weeks left, before school started. And so I was like asking, since she was talking about it, like, okay, like, so when are we gonna go? Like, and it was kind of like, no, you have a job, you have to do that on your own. So I've been taking care of myself since I was 14. I had to kind of like grow up faster than most, children get to. I think about it now, my son is 13, he'll be 14 in April. And I just can't fathom telling him at 14 that he had to just, you know, do him.
So in other words, you're saying that it didn't just stop there. You went into having to do this on a daily, fending
Yeah.
for yourself.
Hmm. My mom, was there, but not really. I had to really do everything financially on my own.
Now, around that same time, you met your husband as well.
Yes.
You were already set up to do it on your own. When you had your son, this was the moment you said that really struck you as, wow, my mom and I really don't have a normal, healthy
A
relationship.
normal, yes, exactly.
I asked you if this has always been this way, and you said no. Prior to the separation, you guys were okay. But the moment that separation occurred, it's almost like she became a different person.
Yeah, definitely. I learned everything from my mom, how to clean, how to cook, how to get dressed, and you know, um, so it was hard before having my son, preoccupied with surviving, and had to keep going, and I was going to school and also trying to like seek approval, right, and acceptance from her that I didn't think about it in that way. She just made this 360. But then I was like, I just got to keep going. Like, if nobody's going to come save me, I have to, figure out where I'm going to go. Because at the same time of me having to fend for myself, I was also getting kicked out. I also was getting told that I couldn't, touch the fridge or touch her food or anything. So it was just survival, all
Survival
around.
mode, right?
Hmm.
You said that you had to realize the kind of relationship that you guys were in and it being unhealthy. Share that with us a little bit, because I think a lot of times, and I can relate to this if I must be honest, a lot of times we want a relationship so badly that we don't realize that it's actually a very toxic relationship
Hmm.
that we're yearning for.
Hmm.
And I think it's important for our viewers to know, how are you able to navigate through that relationship with you and your mom and not allowing it to put you into a depression? How were you able to sustain that strong headedness that you had?
Whoa. um I can't even say that those things didn't occur because they did. I just didn't let it fester too long, you know. Um, let's say there will be times I'm taking the train to school, or when I was in college, going to college. Or I worked in the college that I went at. So in the mornings, I worked a full-time job, and then I went to the night schedule. So
Wow.
there would be times that, yeah, there would be times that we'd be doing that, and then I would think about it and it would make me cry or get, emotional. And so there was a lot of those moments. I'm gonna be very honest with you. But Coney said that God made me strong like this because I've always been this strong person. Gratitude to my sisters, because growing up, I was the third in line, and so they used to bully me and they used to leave me alone. So I learned early. I can remember back to 4, 5, 6, 7, years old,
Wow.
that I learned how to stand on my own and be alone. So in that, I already knew, when this kind of came to, I already learned, and I already knew I was already a soldier of being alone.
Let's fast forward to where you are now. At the moment where you became a mom, a moment that catapulted into who you are now and having those boundaries with this person that you've yearned for a very long time. So tell us about that moment where you got up and said, you know what? I'm taking back my power over my happiness. I love you as a mother. With all due respect, I have to take that power back and not do that yin and yang thing that we've been doing for years.
Um, the moment for me is when I found out I was pregnant with my third child. It was a bit of, of a shock, to be quite honest. God does everything in his time, right? So it was meant to be. But I was kind of like, all over the place in my feelings. And so my mind was like, okay, I have to speak to my mom. I have to speak to mom. She's going to ease my mind. She's going to tell me that I could do it, that if she did it, I could do it. But when we did speak, her response was basically, why would I do that again? 2 is already enough. 3 would just be more harder, So it was in this moment of time, I got depressed, right? Even being in my 30s, I got depressed, right? Even after all these, years, and depressed to the fact where I was depressed and I didn't even know it, to be very honest. I didn't know it.
Wow.
I was laying down, all the time, but I still was, pushing on my orders, because I do have a baking company as well. So I was pushing on my orders and still being mommy and still taking, to school and doing all that. But I realized that I was laying down, and it wasn't until my dad, called me just to, like, say hi. And he was like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Nothing. What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm laying down." He's like, "You're laying down? Like, this is the time." He's like, "Well, I hope that whatever, your mother let you, told you, is not letting you be so down and depressed. It's time for you to get up." It kind of like shook me
Mm.
to have this person, right? Even though he's my dad, but he didn't even see me. He could hear it from a phone call, So in this moment, it was like, you know what? I gotta get up. I have to take this power back. I can't no longer know. It doesn't matter who it is, whether they birthed me or not. This is a tumultuous relationship, and it's a roller coaster, and it has affected me for 10 plus years.
Wow.
And I'm taking the power back. I felt like they had so much power that I given them, not knowing. I didn't even know that they had the power over me until I realized, like, wow, like, wait a minute, like whenever they choose to not pick up the phone and call, it could be months, it can even be, over a year. And then the moment that they call, I'm running, I'm running, and I'm like,
Talk about
okay,
it.
yeah, here, boom, boom, And so it was like, wait a minute, they can't have this power over me no more. I'm a grown woman, number one. 2, I can't have my kids go through that. Another moment was, it was like hands in hands. I was kind of calling for my daughter, and my son asked me if, you know, I see that you're calling, your mother doesn't like you. And
Wow.
so right there was another, like, that was like the icing on the cake, the whipped cream, and all the extras. We know it's not good for us, and we still add them on. It was all of that. And I was like, hold on, they can no longer have the power over me. Um, yeah, so that's kind of like where it was for me. And so I was just looking not for the help, because I didn't have the help already. Like, nobody, my mom just never babysat. I can't probably count my hands how many times that happened. I've, like I said, I've been taking care of myself financially, never have been helped with any kind of bill, no clothing, no nothing. And that's fine, because I take pride in doing all of that for myself. But I just wanted those words. Sometimes it's just those words.
Especially moms. And some you guys watching this will say, well, what about the men? Let's be honest. Throughout your whole ordeal of being independent and your struggles, you even said that never for once you thought about reaching out to your dad or calling your dad. And it's not because you don't love him, because obviously he will sense when you need him and call you, but it was because for some reason moms hold this high demand in our lives that it's just like, even if they cannot physically or financially help you, just the word sometimes really sits home deeply with us. And I want to stress that for all the moms that will watch this, you are hearing from two young ladies that have experienced that hurt, not having that one person that you don't care who else says no, but your mother, that one person says
What?
yes, like, oh my gosh, that's my superhero. And she says yes, I got
I
this.
got this. Yes, I got this. Always. I would never forget. She will always say, you three girls light up a room when you walk in.
Oof.
Right? Always.
And you
Oh, I would
remember that.
never, ever, ever forget that. So I tell my daughter, that too. So it's like little things like that
Could you
that you
imagine?
know.
Gina, from everything that she has put you through emotionally, and maybe not even knowingly, those simple things you're able to take and plant into your daughter's life.
Mm-hmm.
Something as simple as you light up a room.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. In your situation, you kind of beat the odds. I got to tell you,
Thank you.
where you did not fall into the trap of a very, abusive relationship. Because a lot of the times when you don't hear those things, that's what ends up happening. You think that that's okay because the example was never set on what really is okay. If you were to see your mom today, what would be that one thing that will remind you and take you back to that little girl that you knew when your mom was that superhero in your eyes?
Not to be greedy, but it was always my mother's cooking, right?
Oh.
And the music. My mother was a music. It's because of my mom that I love music so much. She, us being, Puerto Rican, she taught me everything. She taught us hip hop, reggae, all kinds of music.
As I listen to you, it sounds like your mom is in your memories. However, she is void in your mind, in your life. And I know that's a tough question, but why? She lives in the same state, right? In the same state. I want you to now share with someone who may be where you were. How were you able to forgive without an apology? How were you able to get past needing her? Because I'm sure if your mom was to show up at your doorstep, you're not going to slam the door in her face. But the person that you were, where you needed this oxygen from this person to be able to breathe, where you can talk about it without crying, where you can think about the fond moments, but without missing them. Wow.
Well, for a while, I've been doing like a lot of inner work of really focusing on the trauma that I endured growing up in my childhood. And, it really had me touch on things that I've forgotten, things that I swept under the rug, things that I didn't want to talk about, I didn't want to remember. And so in doing that, we're doing a lot of personal development. I'm very big on personal development. I feel like it's very important for everyone because you're developing your person. You are really taking like an inside look at yourself and why you do the things you do and why you may procrastinate, why you may make plans and don't follow through with them, why you may do this, why. So in that work is where I started to peel back the onion layers and say, wait a minute, I do that. Books and YouTube videos and seminars and do sweep things under the rug. And, I do feel lonely at times and sad and, why, so that was the first thing was like, why am I doing this? And why am I so angry? Why, so as I started to do that, I started to discover the trauma that I already was like, okay, yeah, this happened to me and this, that, but then to really, really discover it. And so everything that happened in my childhood, right? It's so much. Even though I understand hurt people hurt people.
Mm,
And when you're not taught better, you don't do better. It was around the time my daughter was 3, after, coming home with my son. I want to say, I think it was December 2019 or December 2020. I did everything before that. I used to go to, my mom's home and ring the bell. There was times that she didn't open up the door. The music would stop playing. She wouldn't open up the door. I would call, and, they wouldn't pick up. I would call my stepdad. He, wouldn't pick up, or he would pick up and be like that. My mom is doing something. So I said, you know what? I've tried everything else. I'm going to try writing. So I
mm.
decided to write a letter. And before writing the letter, I had to talk to myself and say, okay, you're not going to point the finger, and you're not going to try to make her, feel bad. You're just going to say your truth with being respectful, but still with being honest. Because throughout the years, I always expressed my hurt. I always expressed my sadness, my loneliness, my disappointments in not coming to my college graduation or my wedding, or,
Wow.
a lot of things that happened, throughout, my life. So I wrote my feelings down and really expressed, that how much I loved her, how much, you really did do this to me. Even, said that in the letter. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I don't want you to feel it, but I love you. Do you think about me? Because I think about you, you know. I'm sorry if I did anything, to you that you felt that I was disrespectful. I was a teenager. I did what teenagers do, go over the line a little bit, but I was a teenager, so, but I'm sorry, in anything that I did, but, I love you, and, my son is okay. My daughter is okay. I'm okay. I hope you're okay.
Wow, Gina. How old are you now?
I am 34.
Gina, we're talking about 20 years. Mm. Wow. I always try to get through these interviews without tearing up.
I see you. Don't do it, okay? This makeup took me a while, okay?
That's a very long time to have these questions in your mind and possibly will never receive an answer.
Hmm.
Um,
And I've come into terms with that, because for so long I was searching for those questions to be answered, and even asking those specific questions, they don't know how to respond. And so in doing this work, as I, was saying, I realized, and I knew, growing up with the stories I was told, that my mom went through a lot of torment and trauma herself growing up. And then it kind of hit me hard that I'm just a reminder of a past that she wants
ah,
to forget.
I love that. I love that you brought that out. We share a lot of similarities with our moms. I'm going to be transparent about it on this platform. And you and I agreed that it's a reminder of a life that they want to forget.
To forget, yes.
And I did not, Gina, I'm going to be honest. I am going to be 40 years old this year. And I did not even, that didn't even cross my mind. Because I think, like, in my mind, I'm like, when you have children, your children should be in a separate bracket from your spouse. You have the relationship with your children, and then you have a relationship with your spouse. So in the event that one doesn't work, it shouldn't affect the other. Hence our topic, relationships over relationships. Your children will always be your children, no matter how they came about, no matter what went wrong. Your children will always be your children. This is something that we accept, and we're like, okay, I'm going to do this. You can't quit at a certain point. This is like a union forever and ever. Amen.
Forever we stuck. Yeah. Okay, like, listen.
We ride or dying to the end.
You know, exactly. I think in saying what you're saying made me go back, right? My grandmother, may she rest in peace, and my grandfather, that was her second marriage. And so she had 7 kids prior. So my mom is one of 21.
Woo.
So 7 of the 21 was of a previous marriage. And not to say I don't know if that happened, but when I speak to one of my eldest aunts, when you're not taught that and you don't see that and you don't pick that up unless you decide to break the cycle. See, I decided to break the cycle because I don't want my children to feel the way that I felt, because like you said, it was 20 years, right? That's
I love that, Gina. I love that.
Yeah.
So we are going to end on that note. How important is it that we are the ones that break that cycle? Like, it happened. And like you mentioned before, no one's coming to save you.
It happens. It's not gonna get erased or deleted. It's there. You have to deal with it, as much as it may hurt or you don't want to. But I feel like in dealing with that, right, for me, in discovering what was the root of my problems, and I'm still discovering because I'm a work in progress. God is not finished with me, and where my journey, continues to go. I got goosebumps. Okay,
Yes.
once you discover it, and you are not responsible for what happens next. Now, if you discover it and you keep the cycle going, that is your fault. That is your fault. Of having anyone in your life, whether if you do have children or you don't have children, it's your sister, your brother, your mother, your father, whoever, and you continue to still be that same way, then we got to work more. You got to discover more. You got to really, tackle. But once I discovered it and I said, you know what? This is not for me. This triggers me. This is why I did this. This is what made me do that. I'm setting a boundary. And then once I wrote that letter and I released it and I said, I forgive you. That was something I wrote in the letter as well. I forgive you. I love you. You're my mom, but I can no longer allow you to have the power over me, to take control. That's just, while you live in your life, I'm defeated, behind the scenes, still cooking and cleaning and being mommy, but behind the scenes, I'm defeated, trying to figure out what's wrong. You know what I'm saying? What I did wrong, what step I took wrong, so once I wrote that letter and I released it and I let it go and I let it, let God take over. And I did not even mail the letter. I still have the letter. I remember finding it a few months after I wrote it, and I was a big ball of mess, just crying. Even when I was writing, I was crying, and pausing, like, okay, no, don't say that, because I don't want, no one to feel hurt. I don't want to be the reason anyone goes into depression or, gets sad, or, I don't want that.
That right there, I need you to understand how powerful that is. For you to say, and I'm the same way, no matter how much you have not been there, and no matter how much you have hurt me because of that, I still don't want to disrespect you. And I still don't want you to feel that hurt. So I will take that hurt and I will heal from that hurt and I will grow from that hurt, but I don't want to inflict that hurt upon you. That's huge.
I don't want no more hurt. I don't want no more hurt at all on anyone,
Wow.
because of this situation, I think that I heard enough. I cried enough. It was such a sense of release and just pressure off my shoulders right after I wrote it, even with the tears that I cried. I found it about, I want to say 3 weeks ago. And I was like, yes, girl. And so a lot of the work that I've done, they tell you to go to a memory. This was tough. This is a tough, exercise for me to do, to be very honest. Okay, in this memory, I want you to go back into this memory. And it was a memory that I had locked away. I locked it, tucked it, everything you could think of. I brought the memory out and they were like, okay, now as an adult, I want you to stand there. In this memory, you're going to be there. Oh, I got chills. And I want you to talk to yourself now in that younger person, you know? So when I was, it was like that same thing, And I said, that's so big of me. You know what I mean? To
Wow.
still focus on not hurting someone else. I want to just break that cycle too of the hurt. Let's stop that. How about that one? They try to break me, but they couldn't. And I know, you know what I mean? Enemies mad because you can't break me. But
You always knew God was real.
yeah, I'm trying to find the words. He was just always there. Things could have been far worse. I could have been involved with drugs. I could have been, in trouble with the law. It could have been so much worse, right? I could have the nights that I was sleeping on the train, somebody could have attacked me and trafficked me, and it's a lot of crazy things that could have happened. It would be things like that I just know that he's real in everything.
These are the things that God wants us to see his hands, we see his works in every aspect of our lives. When we wake up, Lord, you did that. Like you said, you step out the door and you get the parking space closest to the building because you got a bunch of children in the back crying.
Exactly.
Lord, that was you. He worked something out on your behalf by giving you favor. God, I saw you. I knew you did that. So when he talks about giving him praise, that's what he means, because he's a jealous God. And I am just so happy that you have healed, Gina. When we talked about your testimony 2 years ago, I don't think you were quite ready yet. And now 2 years later, I see you and I shed a tear. You did not. I heard you sniffle a little bit. Amen. Amen. And you are glowing.
It took a long time.
Yes, you are glowing. You're married. You and your husband just purchased a home, your first home.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh my gosh.
You.
All by yourself with
that
God.
That was tough. Yes.
What is the name of your baking business?
My baking business is called Edible Eats NYC.
You do ship goodies.
I do ship certain things.
Awesome. So I'm going to put Gina's link down in the description of this video, because this queen is doing her thing. Gina, to come from so much hurt and what the enemy would want you to think is a lack, and to come out with such blessings and it's just amazing. The reason why this ministry exists, this platform exists. I'm going to let you end the interview.
I feel like in the trauma is still such beauty, because it's made me who I am. And it's a journey that I'm still going through and I'm still learning, but I wouldn't change it. Because if I was to change it, I don't know where I would be now.
Wow.
I don't know if I did that, if I would have finished school, if I would have went to college, if I would have had that work ethic that I had gotten because I was 14 and because I knew I had to go to work. I always wanted to work because I was third in line. So having hand-me-downs wasn't something that I liked, especially that they always fit me snug because I was thicker than my sisters, so I always wanted my own stuff. So I wanted to work, but I wouldn't change it because in all the trauma, I've learned so much valuable lessons that I needed, So I would say to anyone, male or female, to really work through the trauma. It's not going to be easy. I would be lying if I would say it's easy. It's tough to go relive moments that you want to forget. It's such a beautiful release in the chaos. that's so needed for your healing and for forgiveness,
Wow.
even if they don't know it.
Wow,
You know?
Gina. Even if they don't know it. In 2 years, you have become such a different person because of that release.
Yes. Yes, very, very.
Wow.
Amen. Yes, because I don't know. It's my daughter's 7 years. So it was like she was like 2, 3 when it started again. That the turmoil. I don't know how I would have, if I would have. Not even how. If sometimes we just gotta change our wording. I would have been able to write it then. I would have felt like I was betraying her.
If you're still thinking that you're betraying the person, then maybe you are not ready to let it go.
They have the power if you feel that. You know what I'm saying? They still have the power if you feel that way, that you're betraying them. When really, how are you betraying them for your feelings of what they putting you through?
That's the thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I hope that I hope that if I didn't get through to a lot of people, that I got through one person, and that this message was for you. Because I know what you have gone through. I've been where you are, and I just know that it will get better. It gets better. It will always get better, but you have to believe it. You have to love you before you can love and want and yearn from anyone else. You have to fill your own cup before you fill anyone else's. So I hope that, this got through to someone. If you haven't heard it today, I love you. I believe in you. You are special. You are everything. You are here for a reason, because God wants you here. And He wants you to go through this for your healing purposes, for you to be a better person, so not only yourself, but to everybody you come in contact with.
But
That
Gina,
was
you
awesome.
are amazing, and
Thank you.
I look
You
forward to having
too.
you on this platform again.
I would love to.
Guys, I pray that this interview, this testimony, touches you in a way that you need it the most. And God has used Gina to minister to you in your situation, in your dark places, in your dark spaces, because look at how she's glowing, and she's been there, and she gave us some nuggets on how she overcame. To everyone, blessings and stillness. Love you guys. Take care.